I saw this coming. So, gentle giant means I might look as if I'm unapproachable, but if you approach me, you'll be met with love. Now, I'm not just this free for all open gate where you can just run into my energy, but I don't have this uh, fuck off disposition about me. I understand that the highest state to live in is a state of service, giving, and I truly believe that. One of the greatest sense of joy that I ever felt was when I was helping someone or doing something nice for someone. Even something as simple as a compliment. You feel that joy and you both share that joy. The giant part now is I'm 6'3" and a half and I do weightlifting, so I have a very domineering presence just by looking at me. Normally that doesn't match the attitude of someone like myself. The thing is, I was young once and I've done some stupid things like fights when I was younger and stuff, but even then I was never a fighter, so to speak. I was capable of violence, as I said, but times when I've seen myself in true rage, I've always done severe damage, and I didn't like the way that made me feel at all. The last time that happened was as short as maybe 6 years ago, and it was provoked by someone who has been provoking me for quite a while. But it turns out that the guy just wanted my attention. And I think deep down he just wanted to be my friend. He just didn't know how to. You know, it was like a childish, it was like a high school or even preschool kind of thing. It was, or even elementary school kind of thing. It was so innocent after I gotten to know the guy, because we became very good friends after that. And I realized that all he needed was just, some attention. And he didn't know how to get that. And this day I was in the barbershop and he used to come to the barbershop and hang around, and he was just like a class clown, and he was always trying to poke at me for a while. And I always laughed it off and, not making it fun, not giving it any attention, but one day, he came in the shop and he just kept, poking at me and asking me questions. And when I would just not give, he said something about me acting as if I'm better than him or something like that. So me at that time, I cared about people's opinion. I cared about people's opinion more than I do now. And even though he was a little prick, even though he was being a little prick, I still couldn't have him think that I was a guy who thought that I was better than people. So I said, no, I'm not, man. I just think you're bored, man. Like, what's the problem? What do you want? And he responded, in an even darker way. And he said something about harming my family, my children. And I got up out the chair and I put my hands around his neck and I choked him with all my might, and within seconds he was down to the floor with his eyes rolling over. And I saw the innocence in his eyes, the child in his eyes, and the soul that I am. I'm getting goosebumps right now. The soul that I am immediately, kicked in, and I felt nothing but pain for him, and I picked him up, and the way I picked him up, he reached for me as if he was a kid being picked up. Just a state of vulnerability that he was left in, like, wow, I almost died. And long story short, I got into, we shook it off, and I saw him a couple of days later, and I apologized to him, and I told him, and next thing you know, we're just talking. We're in this, we're at this restaurant together, because I was at the restaurant and he came in, and I haven't, he was just getting his food anyway, so I say, just if we could chat for a little bit. Next thing you know, we're talking and I'm buying him a drink, and We're talking. Next thing you know, this guy, he had a rough childhood. He got abused as a kid, and him and his brother, and his brother died brutally. His brother was killed brutally in front of him. And I won't even go into details as to how his brother died, but it was pretty traumatic, and this guy just needed a hug. And every time I see him now, I hug him. So, for your gentle giant, is a person who's capable of damage and knows their strength and don't use it to abuse others. If you have strength and confidence, you use it to protect people. And unless you have to defend or take care of someone else, you don't abuse that power. That's how you do that.